老先生，您要记得定时复诊。
Ocean is the starting point of all possibilities. It's where we came from. It's where we are heading for. In the ocean of data, we leverage the power of convergence to unleash the potential in explosive data. Facing complexity, we adapt with stability. We make data storage clean, sustainable, and reliable. Facing changes, we adjust with agility. We enable efficient and on-demand data storage management. Facing bottlenecks, we create unlimited potential. We build new types of storage to help discover miracle of lives. Facing opportunities, we thrive ecologies. We respond to future business surge with innovative technologies. We choose for never-ending exploration. Green. Accelerate. Innovate. Let's embrace a green and digital future. Huawei Ocean Store Data Storage. Convergence of all possibilities.
One person can only achieve so much. As individuals, isolated, our ambition has limited scope. But when we collaborate as a team, our power combines. Our strength is unbounded. Being open, it's in our DNA. Huawei fuses together industry scenarios and innovative ICT technologies, working in tandem with global customers and partners to accelerate digital transformation. Building up modern governance systems with city intelligent twins, delivering better services to people far and wide. Promoting the intelligent upgrade of the financial industry. Supported by agile business innovation. Designing comprehensive transportation systems that usher in convenient travel and smooth logistics. Driving the development of green, low carbon, safe, and efficient energy. Unleashing the digital potential of industries. Digitalization is now certain. Together, we stride into a wider world. Together, we accelerate digital transformation. Together, we create new value.
43洞拐次下升线，广州至上。
您刚才疼痛的部位在哪里？你用手指给我看一下。
这个位置。
你把手放到仪器上，我们会把对你的数据监测传给刀的捏口。
Elettrocardiogramma che tiene un'arritmia leve.
“老先生，您要记得定时复诊。”
Ladies and gentlemen, the Huawei Innovative Data Infrastructure Forum 2023 will now begin.
Upon which financial services are offered, upon which customers can then find innovations that impact positively their daily life. So that also was a primary motivation for the investment we made with Huawei and the continued collaboration.
Very strong technological background, and its products are in par, if not better, to ones of the major IT vendors. During the last year, we have seen a constant improvement of the all-flash arrays with new versions, which implies investment in R&D and commitment to its product. Our experience so far is excellent, and we consider Huawei a trusted partner that we can rely on.
Ce projet est important pour le CHU parce que le périmètre du stockage SAN est un des composants majeurs de l'infrastructure du système d'information. Toutes les bases de données, dont celle du dossier patient, sont portées sur cette infrastructure-là et également l'imagerie primaire. Ce projet a été initié en termes d'études, de réflexion en 2019. Il y avait comme objectif numéro 1 répondre à une architecture de type PCA, répondre à une simplification majeure d'architecture, répondre à la fourniture de fonctionnalités dans le domaine permettant aux équipes d'architecture et aux équipes de production de se faciliter le travail et bien entendu dans un modèle économique optimal.
Les bénéfices pour l'équipe de production, ça a été une grande simplification dans l'administration et dans la compréhension de l'infrastructure. La simplicité de migration a été mise en avant de suite par Huawei et elle s'est avérée fonctionnelle. Et les BO Store ont amené des performances qui étaient plus que raisonnables.
So do you want to see the figure?
Yeah, but what are the figures now? Yeah.
You can see here, we can achieve already 13 gigabyte. You just need to have 2 hours copy time. 2 hours, yes.
So we can copy over lunch break and then continue shooting?
Yes.
Just like cinema has changed how we communicate, volumetric video will do the same to push into this direction. Huawei is one of the leading actors on the market. We can utilize their advanced technologies for our production pipeline and be part of those great stories in the future.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Day 2 keynote of Huawei Innovative Data Infrastructure Forum 2023. Thank you for staying with us in Munich. Firstly, let's invite Mr. Bob Chen, Vice President of Huawei Enterprise BG, to the stage to give a speech entitled Inspiring Innovation to Drive Industry Digital Transformation.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to Munich. Welcome to Innovative Data Infrastructure Forum. My topic today is inspiring innovation to drive industry digital transformation. Last year, our government and enterprise businesses revenue was about $19 billion, increasing 30%. And our storage business revenue was $3.3 billion, increasing by 33% outside China. So thank you all for your trust and support. Huawei's strategy for government and enterprise is to focus on 3 markets. In the NA market, we will focus on about 10,000 customers around the world and cooperate with partners on setting benchmarks and promoting applications to achieve continuous growth together with our customers. In the commercial market, we must build a partner-led operating system and cooperate with partners to cover millions of enterprises. For distribution business, we shall develop independent demand and products, and we will establish a healthy and organized channel system to cover 100 million of customers. For customers in these 3 markets, we have developed the industry-specific technology and solutions, and continue to innovate based on high-value customer scenarios. Up to now, we have established 9 industry teams and identified more than 100 high-value scenarios, like medical imaging centers, mobile financing, and digital cities. And we will continue to develop industry solutions based on these solutions. Centering on industry solutions, we focus on transmission, computing, storage infrastructure, and digital cloud platform to drive industry transformation. Applications and terminals are mainly provided by our partners. We use Net 5.5G and F5.5G to improve the data transmission rate by 10 times. Additionally, based on innovation on augmented computing, the computing power is improved by 10 times. Moreover, Ocean Store Dorado, Ocean Store Pacific, Ocean Protect, and Fusion Cube are used to improve storage power by 10 times. Huawei's digital cloud platform supports application, data, and AI enablement. So, how do our storage technologies help customers resolve these pain points in digital transformation? Next, let's take a look at some examples. The changes in the service scenarios are creating large amounts of the new data. For example, in healthcare, in the past, the data makes up of the patient records and users' information. But now, the data is mainly CT imaging and gene secrecy data. Similarly, in financing, the data used to be user accounts and transaction records. Now, the data imaging and video identification become the main data. Enterprises data is changed from structured data to unstructured data. So the data amount of the data has increased greatly from 1.2 petabyte in 2010 to 1 yottabyte in 2030, increasing by 1,000 times. This brings huge challenges for data storage. Let's look at the healthcare industry. You know, globally, about 10 million newborns are born with a birth defect every year. And the ultrasound scans can detect some types of the birth defect. However, over 20% of them cannot be detected, such as inborn heart disease. For these cases, gene secrecy analysis can make up for the shortcomings of ultrasound scan. 20 years ago, the first homing gene secrecy cost $3 billion US. Thanks to the development of science and technology. Now it just costs $100 US. In West China Hospital, in my hometown of Chengdu City, gene secrecy produces 20 PB of data every year. Storage of large data becomes a huge challenge. In addition, a whole gene secrecy takes 24 hours, which results in poor patient experiences. Huawei's Ocean Store Pacific storage system uses innovative technologies, such as the hardware design and software protocol. which can increase the equivalent capacity by 3.6 times. Additionally, based on software optimization, G-analysis time can be reduced from 24 hours to 7 minutes. Industry digitalization brings more and more apps in the financing industry. Customers used to rely on counter services, but now transactions such as transfers and loans can be done through apps. In the government industry, people can get most of public services through an app. With the number of users rising, apps have to provide better personalization, self-services, and social interaction. How to quickly launch apps to meet customers' requirements has become a huge challenge for government and enterprises. Let's take the banking industry as an example. CIMB Bank, Philippines, services 6 million users. Guess how many branches it has? The answer is 0. Now, mobile banking apps are key for banks. And a lot of the banks have launched mobile apps for different user groups, like seniors and young people. Some banks even offer AI-based options. However, for most of the bankers, the app developers are limited. How to quickly release versions for different users is a critical issue today. Let's take the banking of Beijing as an example. Its development team has only 100 employees, but they need to release over 100 versions and optimize more than 2,000 pages every year. How did they do all of this? The key is a microserver-based development. To use microserver services, storage system must support containers. Huawei's container storage is fully compatible with the mainstream container platform. And with our OceanFS scale-out file system, the provisioning efficiency is 100% higher than other companies. In addition, our storage supports the industry's highest 7 nines reliability. As the industry goes digital, data has become the core resource. So we need to build a new readiness-centered data. In the past, enterprises needed to build a disaster recovery system to deal with physical damage like hardware breakdown. But now, enterprises need to enhance their readiness against malicious attacks. Averagely in 2021, enterprise was attacked by ransomware every 11 seconds. With a cost, and it takes 6 days to recover data, with a cost of $1.85 million. In 2021, a large-scale oil company was attacked by ransomware. Its operation suspended for 5 days. The issue was resolved after the company paid $5 million. To ensure the data redundancy, the DID model recommends building defense across the multiple layers, including host, network, application, and storage layers. Huawei data storage is combined with network solutions to form a 2 lines and 6 layers robust system. At the network layer, Huawei can build situational awareness, firewall, and sandbox. At the storage layer, Huawei Ocean Cyber uses machine learning algorithms to identify ransomware with an accuracy of 99.9%. In addition, together with technologies like circuit slab swaps, it can ensure a clean copy of data for all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, understanding variation is the key to success in quality and our industry customers' business. Centering industry scenarios, Huawei innovative storage products and solutions will help customers embrace new data, new application, and new resonance. From the perspective of the ICT infrastructure, focusing on high-value industry and scenarios, Huawei will be committed to innovate transmission, computing, storage infrastructure, and digital cloud platform, addressing customers' scenario pain points and help customers accelerate digital transformation. Thank you for your listening. Thank you very much. Enjoy the journey in Munich. Vielen Dank.
Thank you, Mr. Bob Chen, for your inspiring speech. Next, let's invite Professor Wolfgang Lehner, Director of the Institute of Systems Architecture, Head of the Database Technology Group in Technische Universität Dresden, to give a speech entitled Scale Up, Scale Out, Scale Flex for the Next Generation Database Engines.
Good morning, and thank you so much for inviting me as an academic to this fascinating event here. And also, thank you for not also inviting me as an academic, but also inviting me as a database person. So we are actually dealing with data management, and we are working hardware, software co-design. So how can we make data management more efficient in the light of modern hardware? So we just heard about the move of traditional row-based, tabular, structured data, and we know all about this unstructured data. We heard about the yottabyte scale, and we also see a significant move from the traditional database mentality down to open table formats, to modern systems like Apache Hudi, Iceberg, data lakes, etc., etc. So what actually is interesting, variety is king on the data side. So if we look on the hardware side, what we also see is plenty of new stuff is coming up. We have GPUs, we have TPUs, we have a huge plethora of different CPUs, we have different memories and storage, the boundaries are kind of merging. So again, variety is king. So where does that actually lead for the data management community? The data management community is kind of somehow squeezed in. On the one side, we have these evolving data-intensive applications. We are kind of the foundations. We are driving ML and AI applications. We have to provide a consistent perspective on the structured and unstructured data. But on the other hand, we actually have to face the challenges coming along with this new plethora of modern hardware devices. So, and what kind of basic architectural principles do we have? Well, there's on the one hand the traditional make systems bigger and bigger. And so this is kind of the traditional way of doing it. This is run your database system, install your database system, and whenever there is more demand, just move it to a bigger machine. On the other hand, more or less the modern style of data management is, of course, scale out. Many, many machines, hundreds, thousands of machines running data analytics jobs, somehow having and representing this kind of new world of data management. So what does it actually mean, and are those kind of principles, a scale up, a scale out, is this really enough for coping with the challenges to come from a technical perspective? I mean, we can actually, when we actually look at the design space where data management systems in the wider sense are positioned, we can actually have multiple dimensions. And one dimension is more or less scalability. Of course, a machine with 1,000 cores, this is kind of common, this is commodity, but we have to go well beyond a 1,000-core machine, etc. So moving data is evil. We don't want to somehow move petabytes around just to filter them out and throwing them away. So on the other hand, are we able to perform elasticity? So when workload changes, react to sudden workload drifts, changes to spikes, etc., is this the right way to go? How do we actually deal with this plethora of different computing devices, different memories, different storage systems? So I think there is kind of a need of a second dimension for a design space, but this dimension comes for a price. I mean, if you look, just as a nice example, if you look at a very simple data management operator, the same operator, same data set on different devices, you have completely different performance characteristics, so you have to deal with this. If you look at the memory, energy consumption, how are we able to tackle energy awareness? This is dark silicon is hitting us, so we have to somehow figure in and factor in these characteristics. Looking even further, and as an academic, this is our job to do, looking further, we have to deal with other non-functional characteristics like taking resilience. So how do we actually handle defects, defective components, etc., etc. The question is, for this design space, is scale out or scale up, is this really the right way to go? And to achieve this elasticity and to achieve and cope with the variety of different computing devices. So luckily, we have third dimensions. So database people or big data people love these 3 Vs. We have a third dimension, and this is somehow leading us to variability dimension. So a couple of years back, the notion of composable systems came up, and the idea is that we are now able to reconfigure our computing device, and this is what I actually call scale flex. So what is the promise with this scale flex? Well, the traditional computer as we know it is just gone. That's the idea, to some extent, in the extreme. And the promise is that it's a fully disaggregated environment where we have the compute store, where we have the compute, we have the memory, we have the storage, we have the communication part. And there is some kind of magic fabric in the middle, and this magic is kind of connecting all the different components, forming by software what we now call a computer. And even going forward, the promise is that we have a common memory space that kind of achieving a scale-up characteristic by scaling out different devices on different levels. And when I first saw this, I was totally fascinated. I said, I really have to have this. So I took my machine, ripped it apart, went to the basement, into my workshop, and just cut it and tried to disaggregate memory and compute. Obviously, that was not so successful. So luckily, we have standardization going on in one extremely promising way is CXL. So CXL is a set of protocols, and it's covering a huge consortia, defining all these virtual fabric, how the different components, how the different devices are communicating and working together. So for the techies among us, CXL defines 3 sets of protocols, one for handling the I/O, so that there is kind of a cache coherent direct storage access, a direct memory access. There is CXL cache for implementing the cache coherency, and there is CXL memory allowing remote memory, highly disaggregated memory, and mounted into my local compute unit. So, of course, at the university, it's our job to take whatever we get in modern hardware and do kind of pathfinding. So how far do we get? Is this kind of a viable solution? Can we somehow build on top of this? And what are the research challenges? So here is just a tiny graph of a pathfinding project, first prototype. And so what you see here is, to the right is kind of an increasing complexity, and the lower the better. So the slowdown, the lower the better. And you see actually three curves. The one is you have traditional RDMA-based computing, where you're actually moving data around asynchronously. And then you have two curves which are more or less the same, behaving more or less the same. And this is the memory performance, memory access, data access, be it within a system or using disaggregated memory beyond different systems. And this is extremely promising. This is extremely promising, and this is a very, very first step. But what could be the next step? Where are we actually heading for? Again, recap, this is our promise. We have this magic fabric doing all the tiny little combinations of the different devices. And obviously, we have more. So the composition of what we now call a computer is done by software, building the virtual machine with completely encryption, tenant-specific characteristics, etc. And ideally, that should be done on a very fine, granular basis. And this should be done not by a DBA, that should be done by the application, ideally by the software, by the data management system. So depending on the complexity of the situation, depending on the model I want to train, when a machine learning application is running on top of the database, then I obviously have to compose my system accordingly. And it's not only composition, it's kind of flexibly rearranging, reconfiguring the system. So the idea is that in the end, we have kind of a breathing system. The system is kind of fluid, and whatever we know as a computer by now is then just a sphere of control where all my data is kind of sitting where it is. I don't have to move it. I can actually mount it to my compute logic. And this kind of interplay, working with this breathing system, this is what we are actually looking at in my institute. So the question is this, well, yet another step forward, or is this really disruptive? So let's actually recap what is disruptive and what is the driver for disruption. So disruption means there is really a next step forward, and my claim is for disruption in our context, we always have two ingredients. The first one, we have to have the enabling technology, but on the other hand, we have to have the exploiting application capabilities. So, asking the question, is this, looking forward, this breathing, these fluid computers, is this disruptive? And my claim is, as a researcher, what we have seen so far, absolutely yes. Simply because this is finally the ultimate enabler for implementing a separation of compute and store. And that allows us that we can keep the data where it is, we keep it in the storage, we keep it in the memory, we have kind of a transparent system, and then wherever it's used, whenever it has to be used, we can actually mount our data and actually work directly on our data set. So we can actually implement elasticity, but using that virtual magic fabric, we can also implement variety. We can sprinkle in whenever we need a TPU for training a machine learning model, whenever we need GPUs or FPGAs accelerations, we just plug them in. The second key question is, does it come for free? So is it hard to exploit? And unfortunately, yes, I think so. And so this is what we are actually tackling and looking, so what does it actually take to build the next generation data management platform for those kinds of infrastructures? We are funded by the German Science Foundation, by the European Union, and obviously as a researcher we are writing papers and presenting our papers at conferences, but we are not only producing papers, we are also making our hands dirty, we are also implementing stuff. So we joined forces and we have created a European initiative on a new platform which is striving to exploit these kinds of technologies. So the project name is Daphne. So you can see there are multiple European academic institutions joining forces, are working together for implementing such a new framework for traditional data management, supporting AI workloads, on the one hand, for being on the laptop, where we are able to develop your model. You start with small data sets, and then you deploy it on the HPC system. And this is all one program, this is all one platform. It's completely transparent for the user. So here in Dresden, we are responsible for, of course, hardware, software, co-design. This is our focus on the acceleration part. And what we actually have built, and this is also a bit for the techies among us, it's what we call a smart storage system. So the idea is, what are the minimal primitives? What can we actually offer from a storage perspective? What should actually be offered from a storage perspective to the higher levels of the software? This smart storage system has compression as kind of first-class citizens, is vectorizations as first-class citizens, to sprinkle in some technical buzzwords here. The core idea is you only have one code base, and you can deploy it on every piece of hardware which has kind of a processing unit. So this obviously, this is part of this Daphne system. So Daphne system is using this smart storage. And on the other hand, we also plug this in and heavily invest and push for computational storage. So we ask ourselves, where can we actually place this smart storage? Where does it actually reside? And the lower, the better in our software hardware architecture stack. So in a joint effort with the IT University in Copenhagen, we have started to implement the first data management logic primitives right at the storage, right at the SSD layer, NVMe layer. We call this Delilah, as I mentioned, together with the research group from Copenhagen. We are already able to have queries, different queries, and we are able to push down certain fragments of the queries, have kind of a communication between the upper layer, the compute layer, and the lower level, the store layer, which is providing certain capabilities. And what we also can see is we are doing very, very well, not only in performance. Maybe in performance we could even do better, but that was not really the first part. The first part is we want to avoid data movement. Moving data is evil, number one. And the second one is we want to free CPU resources, then they can actually do other stuff. So I think it's kind of time to wrap up. I hope I took you a little bit to a journey of an academic, of a database person, somebody sitting on top of storage, is eager to exploit storage, is eager to push down functionality at the storage level. I hope I was able to convey you a little bit that whatever we know as a traditional computer is kind of gone. Of course, in some places that will stay. But that we are moving in the midterm to this breathing sphere of controls, what we now call the computer. That this is the driver, this is the enabler for separation of compute and store, for real separation of compute and store. I hope I was able to convey you a little bit in terms of what we are doing in Dresden, but not only in Dresden, in a larger context in a European community, devising a new platform for data-intensive applications from a laptop to HPC from a high-level language down to the implementation and support of a plethora of different hardware devices. That's it from my side. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Wolfgang Lehner, for your thought-provoking speech. Now, let's invite Mr. Thomas Meyer, General Manager and Group Vice President of IDC Research EMEA, to give a speech about delivering resilience and acceleration for the digital business.
Guten Morgen, München. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Feeling strong? Day 2, lots of information. It's been a pretty wild ride. It's great to get the community back here together. So thank you, Huawei, for getting us all here. Beautiful spot. Great to be here from my side as well. So what I'll try and do over the next few minutes is to give you a little bit of a view of what we see going on in the market. So I spend a lot of time with the technology leadership communities, the CIOs and the CTOs and architects, and also the vendor community. But what I'd like to focus on today is looking at what it means as everyone's on their digital path, what it means to deliver resiliency and acceleration, and more specifically, what it means for the CIO and the jobs to be done. Now, some of you would have been in the MSP session yesterday, and you would have seen my colleague, Luis, present the slides already. Now, let me just give you a bit of a flavor of what's going on. And this is probably no surprise to you. As organizations are looking at the digital business era, they're moving along that trajectory, and you see the maturity here by industry. And they're looking to change their business model a lot of the time, because increasingly, the revenue from traditional business models is being replaced with money from new business models, digital business models. Now, on that journey, it's been a lot, I wouldn't say easier, but the companies that are more advanced, or the organizations that are more advanced, are the ones that clearly are cloud native, but also the ones that have a service business model. Once you start talking to the companies that are asset heavy, supply chain heavy, then that's a little bit tougher. Because what they have to do is drag the whole organization along and not only include new technologies, digital technologies, but also make sure that they modernize all the legacy on their path, and that's tough. So when you ask the likes of pharma companies, car companies, or automotive, for them it's a lot harder, and they're usually not quite so happy with the journey that they've had so far. There are some other ones, also due to the pandemic, that have actually had to get on it very quickly. But here's the thing. If I asked you which country in the world has the highest per capita consumption of pizza, would you know the answer? Do you think you know the answer? Sorry? I didn't hear. Italy is very good, is number 5. Very good. USA, number 2, very close. What was it? China? No, it's not in. No. So it's actually as a surprise. So the whole point is, so UK is number 3, Germany is number 4. It's Norway. Now, you learned something, right? So, and the reason why is, so I talked to the CIO of one of the companies that make frozen pizzas, is because it's the cheapest thing to eat and lots of students eat it. So the per capita consumption is really, really high. What's the point of the story? As we moved through the last few years, we've all learned that there are maybe things that are disruptive, and we're being asked questions, and we have to respond to situations that maybe are new to us, maybe where we thought we knew the answer, but it's all changed. So it's very, very different. And that's pricing, inflation, supply chain, and what have you. Good news is that if you actually look at the stats and you see, well, it seems like quite a lot of people are still expecting a recession. Well, actually, that's come down by 30% from about 3 months ago. So the perspective is a lot more positive. If you think about increases in budget, well, that's actually the reverse. So about 3 months ago, that was in the 50s. So that's racked up by 30%. The feeling is a lot more positive than it was. Times are still going to be tough, for sure. But when we look at what CEOs are expecting and what they are banking on, it's technology. That is going to help them, and this is Europe specific, this is going to help them grow. They're also looking for automation and productivity, clearly. If we're looking at what's expected of the CIO, it's to drive efficiency. It's to drive transformation and to do this with data. Now, there seems to be maybe a little bit of a disconnect, but those things are very clearly connected. Very busy slide. Let me just talk you through it. If you look on the right-hand side, the focus that we see from a CEO perspective of what they want CIOs, technology leadership to focus on, it's modernizing IT, and that remains. Risk management has rocketed up in terms of the expectation on the CIO, and I think that's all clear. But then when we look at cost management, we look at orchestrating digital leadership, that's actually now more in the remit of the whole C-suite. So this is not just a technology thing. This is not just the CIO talking to the CFO. Everyone has to agree on that. I'll get back to that in a second. What it means is that there are, from our perspective and the conversation that we've had, 3 things to do for the technology leadership. One is to modernize. And we sort of see it in 3 levels. One is building a foundational IT layer. So you've got the business, the digital business platform, then build resiliency on top and acceleration. But what we suggest is to think about this a little bit differently. So you've got the foundational IT layer, which, to no surprise, includes all of the different technologies, different services, software that you might think about in terms of what it all entails. Most of you, I would reckon, are part of the way there, where you maybe have a digital platform, maybe a cloud platform, all the new stuff goes there, but then you've got to also tackle the ERP systems and what have you, and maybe that still sits somewhere in legacy. That's maybe on the private side, on the private cloud side, maybe in the data center. And those 2 things aren't necessarily connected. The idea is as you progress, those things become more connected. And you're able to ingest new technologies, and we've heard a lot about those earlier. That allows you, when you think about resilience and acceleration, to think about the business use cases, because that's how the rest of the organization is thinking about it. They're thinking about customer retention. They're thinking about maybe new customer segmentation to generate new revenue. They might be thinking about supply chain resiliency in this context. So foundational IT layer and then use cases. Now, no surprise, an important part of building that IT layer, the foundation, is storage. And when we look at spending intentions around storage and think about the storage itself, data management, all of those areas, only 6%, so if you look at the bottom layer, only 6% of organizations are actually intending to reduce their spending. Everyone else is maintaining or increasing their spending, specifically in storage technologies. This is a very recent survey, so hot off the press. You also need to be able to ingest and understand new technologies as part of this journey. And AI is one of them. Generative AI clearly has become a big part to focus on more recently. Interestingly enough, 2/3 of organizations are playing with that already, and you can see some of the use cases, software development, design, and knowledge management applications that are going to be critical, or at least that's the thinking where the impact will be. Interesting for Europe, Europe is actually ahead in playing with Gen AI. So let's see how this pans out. But this is going to be critical also in terms of the foundational platform. Now, I showed you the expectations from a CEO perspective around CIO focusing on risk mitigation. And that's become critical, not just in Europe, but across the globe. And that's also the one technology area that the CEOs are pulling out in terms of what they'll be prioritizing. So this is about security, risk, and compliance. And that's no surprise, because it is about cyber, ransomware, it's about regulations. So if you are doing business in this region, anywhere in the world, if you look at what's coming towards us in terms of different regulations that you have to adhere to, and we heard some of this yesterday, this is going to be fun. Now, it also means that that area is pretty immune to spending cuts. So I had a number of conversations with CIOs who said, well, I wouldn't say there's an unlimited budget, but in all honesty, everyone's so scared at this particular point. If you can actually balance the risk, sometimes we've got to make choices where we've got to move a bit quicker, but really it comes down to protecting the organization, protecting the integrity, protecting the brand, protecting the employees. That's going to be critical. So that's a heavy focus area. Part of that journey is also the focus on ESG. So the environment, social, and also the compliance piece is part of that. We see this occurring increasingly in RFPs. And I guess you would have thought maybe that recent times sort of made companies step away from that. But you've got to start looking at ESG as a business use case, not just something that you have to do. It's not just an IT thing. It's important for the whole organization. Technology plays a major role in making it happen. Not just in terms of tracking, but also improvements. Starting point, though, is IT. That's going to be critical in terms of making sure that your envelope there keeps getting reduced for the value that you're generating. Last but certainly not least is how do you orchestrate those budgets? And you might have seen on the earlier slide, 46% of technology spending sits outside IT. It sits in HR and sales and marketing and what have you. Now, if everyone goes off and does their own thing, that's not really going to lead to that digital platform. So there needs to be some level of coordination. And you probably would have all experienced, I don't know, cloud, SaaS, all kinds of different spending going through the roof, because there was very little oversight and control. That's being reined in. So you see FinOps coming up, you see all kinds of other cloud ops, AI ops, everything, all the ops kind of functions are increasingly critical for organizations. For the CIO, for the technology leadership, this means working together. Very busy slide, but in effect what it means is when you start off, often what we see, traditional CIOs do still have this cost discussion. It's probably disconnected from what HR is doing or marketing or maybe even what the CEO wants to do. As you progress, there is a table, there's a seat at the table for the CIO with the rest of the management, and it really needs to be discussed in terms of the path forward. And ideally, you get to the right-hand side where you start talking about this together. You're building that platform, you agree on the investments, you pull together what's IT and line of business budget, and then you start talking about, great, so foundational IT platform, what are those use cases that we really need to go after, especially if money isn't growing on trees. You want to make sure that you all agree on the path forward. And that means that you ask yourself the question, okay, does it fit with a long-term vision of the program? Is there a sponsorship across the board? Have we all agreed that this is what we want to do and where we want to go? It's also related, for example, to, is there an opportunity? Does it avoid any risk that's really relevant and vital and important to our business? That's the kind of discussion you need to have. And then at the end, you can focus on the things that are really important. So I just leave you with these thoughts. As you go off into the world again of your everyday work life, think about those three things: the modernization aspect, the importance of technology for the path of the organization, using technology also for risk mitigation, but being also very aware what that means in terms of the context of technology being a risk and introducing that, and working with the rest of the C-suite to make sure that you deliver value in terms of the investments that you're making and the rest of the C-suite is aligned on. With that, thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas Meyer, for your wonderful speech. Now I would like to invite Mr. Sven Blidung, CEO of VolueCap, to give a speech about pushing technology boundaries to deliver true 3D videos.
Hello and welcome. It's a huge pleasure for me to be on the stage today. My presentation will be a bit different than the others maybe you have seen, because I'm more from the media industry and from the entertainment industry, and we create camera systems and really work with data. And I'm very pleased to be at this great lineup today. And a lot of things from the theoretical parts, like Bob Chen has showed earlier today, like all the amount of data saving and copy times, really comes down in our studio as well when we do those captures with high-resolution data, and we really rely on those data because this makes our workflow faster. But maybe I give you like a little introduction, who I am, what we're doing, and a bit of the data afterwards, but I'm not so much focusing on those parts today because all the other presentations take so much good coverage about that. So my name is Sven Blidung von der Heide. You can call me just Sven. And I have a strong background in the movie industry. So I have worked on several feature films like Avengers, Cloud Atlas. I did a lot of visual effects on those movies. And as mentioned, this presentation is maybe a bit different. But to kick it off, maybe we start with a short little trailer to get you a glimpse about what we are doing. And basically all the humans you have seen in those trailers are not like normal 2D video camera captures, but all 3D humans. So they all be captured with our technology and placed in other different 3D environments. And this is like the big thing we are focused on. Because you can imagine the whole movie industry is in a very, very huge shift. So we're moving from 2D to 3D, which means everything gets scanned in a 3D environment. And as you can imagine, having like rooms scanned is maybe something that we have already like 10 years. But if you have actors inside of the room and you want to capture an environment, a movie set with the actor in motion at the same time, it's a complete different way of capturing movies. And especially when you look at newer devices as well, like mixed reality headsets and all those new kind of display technologies, where you really need 3D content because you can't show it with a normal 2D camera anymore or capture it with a normal 2D camera. Yeah, and one of the big challenges actually are humans. As you can imagine, you may be all aware of something called motion capture, where people getting like in those suits where they have a lot of balls on the body and then they try to capture those motions. And this is the technology which is on the market since quite a long time now. And when you look at those game characters, you already have, I think, seen some computer games. Even if they're based on real people or persons, they never look really realistic. And this is a very huge challenge or a very big issue that you can't usually create real humans in a real-time environment. And the other way, you have the big movie industry, who just put a lot of money and effort into it, where like hundreds of artists working on just one person to create just one single shot of a person you see here on the site with Stallone, to just create very short sequences. And in the end, in the audience, you still see that something doesn't look real or something doesn't feel real. And this is something that we looked into how we can overcome. And basically how we do it. So what you see here is our volumetric capture studio. And this is basically just a room where we have a lot of cameras, and we can just capture like on a movie set, and then afterwards we have a complete 3D representation of the person. So the person you see on the left is the real camera footage from the studio, and on the right is the 3D representation. And if you compare it with the traditional workflow, so on the left side you see our studio, and on the right side the normal way how you create those avatars or those persons. As mentioned earlier, there are like hundreds of people usually involved into it, and for us it's a completely automated process. And that's why it's a complete game changer in how we create content for the movie industries nowadays. And if you compare it, this is now for real time from a game engine actually, with a AAA title like Cyberpunk. The whole character creation process is completely different. It's way faster, it's way cheaper, and it's not so much intensive in terms of labor. And that's one of the reasons why it's really a complete disruptive technology, what has been evolved here in our studio grounds. So it's a new way of creating content. And we are actually, to get to this point, we're actually creating our own cameras. So this is one of the things that we have done to get to this point. We're building our own cameras at a very high resolution. And there are a few competitors on the market, but we are by far the leading one actually when it comes to resolution quality. So this is just a comparison of digital humans. Basically, this is one from our competitors to our quality, and you see how much quality makes a big difference in getting really like the close-up situations of a person. So what we are doing with those technology, where we use it, actually we have created all the camera systems for Matrix Resurrections, basically the last installment from Lana Wachowski. And as you can imagine, this is the normal default case. We have our studio, we have the actor inside of the studio. So we just do the quick capture of the actor, and the beauty is afterwards we have the actor fully in 3D. So this is Ellen Holland, famous actor in the Matrix suit with her jump. As you maybe know, this key element from the older movies as well. And this is now the full 3D representation of her after the capture. And it really took like 10 minutes to do the quick capture of her, and then we have the data, it's processing, and then it's a complete 3D person actually. And we can place her anywhere in every situation in the movie and reuse her over and over again for all those scenes. And this is part of the beauty. Therefore, we're creating a lot of different camera systems. So we're not shooting only in our environment. We're also building a lot of different systems we bring into the sets, even doing like underwater volumetric capture. And as mentioned earlier, we're really capturing the whole set with the actors, with the environment, and everything with motion. And this is really like the game-changing part of it, even like doing completely underwater volumetric video, where we build it all underwater housings on our own cabling and everything from scratch to do volumetric underwater capture. This is how it looks in the end, basically when all the processing have been done and the characters have been replaced by our 3D doubles actually. And I just skipped through some of the slides. This is to visualize you the challenges just of a face. If you look just purely at a face, there's so much motion going on, and that's why it's so challenging to recreate faces of persons by normal human labor work, basically, because you have so much motion going on, and with this process, it's completely automated. And it's not just ending there, actually. We are able to add new motions into the faces, to let actors and people act differently, to let them speak new things that they haven't been spoken, and change basically the persons. We can also use those 3D captures of the humans in all kind of different environments, so they're adapting to light and everything when we change out the environments. And this is basically really the domain, what we are working on, what is changing so drastically, that we're now capturing humans for every big production. And it's also something like a insurance for the production. So if the actors get sick or something, they just can replace them way easier afterwards, or can use them for different shows. Another use case, for example, famous musicians from Germany. We just did a capture, and then you can take out your iPhone or your smartphone, you can take videos with them, and you can share it on social media. And this is like the beauty, you can walk around them, so there are a lot of applications. It's not just movie industry, it's basically all kind of industries. We use them for replacing extras in the background for movies, like characters in the background, you can just place them and you save a lot of money, basically instead of casting a lot of people. Just for that, we have for example, created a whole catalog where we sell humans online now as digital assets, basically. It's a stock system, so you can really just shop the humans there now, like $100 per person. And when you have usually a lot of architects using it right now, so if you have a scene, you just place them in there, and then the whole scene becomes vivid and more realistic, because then it's populated with not just those 2D things of humans, but really like 3D representations. Of course, this comes with a huge challenge. And the huge challenge is how we handle those amount of data. I mean, you can imagine it's good to have camera arrays and everything is automated, but you need to automate it and you need to have very fast delivery times. And as mentioned before, the resolution is very high, so it's like 6,000 times of 4K resolution, actually. And it's not something small, as you can imagine, what we're doing there. And we're really pushing the boundaries. I mean, the reason for that is that our clients really demand those extremely high resolution of face close-ups and of those fidelity of the actors. And we have more than 40 cameras actually shooting from all the angles, even sometimes more than 100 cameras per shot. And this is quite crazy what we're doing. Just to give you idea what this resolution means, just to get you a brief glimpse. So, I mean, you're all aware of full HD resolution, which is the normal thing that everyone is streaming usually at home. When we zoom further out, then we have this 4K resolution. Basically, when it gets smaller, when we zoom further out, we have 8K resolution, which is already 4 times more than 4K. And if we zoom further out, this is one of our cameras. This is just a resolution from one of our cameras, actually. And we don't capture compressed raw signals, uncompressed signals. We really capture the uncompressed raw signals from the camera, which means we have all the data available, which means that this data amount is way bigger than any normal 8K camera would even create. And if you zoom further out, we have this is a setup of our old studio from last year. So we have for one frame already a lot of data. And if you zoom even further out, this is our current stage. So we're now shooting with more than 3,000 pixels per frame in uncompressed raw signals. And this is a lot of data. I can promise you that. And the beauty is that actually last year together with Huawei, we really evaluated and tested the whole data processing pipeline and got hardware to really play around with that. Because you can imagine when we did a capture, it took us 18 hours from a day to just download the capture data to a very fast storage system. And this means that we will lose a full day, basically, of production, because we have to wait a full day, and then we can shoot only the 2 days afterwards, actually, of this data. So we Huawei actually introduced the Ocean Store Pacific to our system. We integrated into the pipeline, and this really changed a lot in terms of bandwidth and compression and downloading times. So with this, we reached actually 18 gigabyte per second of bandwidth, which means that we really drastically lowered the copy time, which actually end up in the end that we could copy in just 2 hours the whole data. So we could do now a lunch break, basically copy down or download all the data, and we could even on the same day do a complete fill up of our spaces again. So we can utilize our storage is basically way faster than we could actually before. And this is, I think, a very nice, I would say, real use case where we really measured it and we really need to use it and really trusted on it, and it really worked out in the end. And this was something that really impressed us because it showed that all those numbers that have been shown before really come up in the practical, real way when you really implement those systems. Yeah, and then one part that is also very, common nowadays is stuff like deepfakes. As you can imagine, we're also doing now a lot of replacements of face actors and so on. This is something that comes in more and more publicly available sometimes, but also in the movie industry, it's like the standard. So what you see here is the camera rig, which we have created specifically just for deepfake captures. So we bring them on the set, we can capture the actor, and we have now, here's an example. Basically, this is like 2 different faces blended with each other. So on the top left, you see Trinity from the Matrix. On the top right, it's basically the character Bugs, and they're blending between them. So we swap out the faces, and we can mix different personalities and different actors now with each other. But the challenge for those systems is that you need to have a reliable way to capture all the required angles of the face and all the different kind of light situations that you can guarantee that you can create a very high-resolution deepfake. Because we all know those low-end deepfakes from the internet, but if you want to bring it on a cinema screen for a close-up, you need to overcome a lot of different challenges, as you can imagine. And for that, we actually created something together with Warner Bros. We call it the gold standard for deepfakes now, because it's a very lightweight camera system we bring into the set. And after 10 minutes of capture with the actor, we have like the guarantee that we can reuse this actor for face replacements. As you can imagine, like stuntmen that get replaced the face. Here's one of the deepfakes in action. This is actually a deepfake we applied onto volumetric capture. So you see a bit of the effect on it. So on the top left, you see the 3D model of the person, and the other one is the model with the textures. And we can even mix and match those deepfake things onto the 3D characters. And as you see it, it still looks quite realistic actually. And this is, if you add a bit more post, then you can integrate them into any kind of 3D environments. One thing that is now pushing even further, because I mentioned that the movie industry is moving from 2D to 3D. Actually, now the next step is actually the whole movie industry is moving to AI. And this is another very drastic shift. And I could imagine, like in the next 3 to 4 years, actually, we will see a lot of feature film products or projects coming up where no humans actually have been involved anymore, where basically the actors, the stories, everything get written by AI and get rendered by AI. And we started in 2020 already on the product metrics. For this image, what you see here, this is fully rendered by an AI. And we got all the information. So what we did here, we captured the actors, we captured the environment, and we trained it into a machine learning system. And we could make it in a way that we can even like slow down the time a lot, and we can change camera angles. And this is what the shot came out basically afterwards. So what you see here is fully trained and rendered by an AI. There's no meshes or no real camera work involved into it anymore. And this is something that I personally see as a very shifting or very drastically changing factor of the whole entertainment industry. And I think this will relate not just to the entertainment industry, but to all the other industries as well, that we will basically now start. I mean, before, if you want to create such a shot, it took like a whole camera department, a whole team, and a lot of effort into doing that. Now in the near future, it will be possible to create it basically just by simple text prompts, or even like those text prompts get automatically generated and everything is basically rendered. And this will come to a point where basically the human will be a slowing down factor in the whole movie production pipeline. And the question for us, for example, is really as a company, how do we fit actually into those environments where actually all your staff, all your crew, all the brain power you have in your team basically competes with the algorithm, and you can't really compete with it anymore. And this is the journey we started about a half a year ago, that we actually changed our whole structure. I mean, for the next 2 or 3 years, we will work a lot in the movie and games industry, but apart from those elements or those time of span, I think everything will be more going into an AI-generated environment. And from this point, we are focusing more now into actually capturing high-resolution data for training such systems. Because as all those technologies will become more higher in terms of resolution and better and flexible, they need higher resolution of data. As you can imagine, having, for example, a robot doing surgeries, those robots need to have a lot of high-resolution training data from actual surgeries, how to hold a scalpel or something like that to do those surgeries, and those training data is not available yet. So we will more and more focus now actually in creating those high-resolution training data of hands and everything that we can use for training robots and training basically artificial intelligence for the next generation of replacement of human brains basically by AI systems. And this is something what we're now developing and towards through. So I think this development of the whole entertainment industry into AI also relates to all the other industries, and it's quite challenging thing or task that every company will have to overcome over the next few years. And it's quite an interesting journey, and I would love to be here in the next years also to see how maybe the audience will change or how the strategy will change, because right now I think most of the people don't really want to think about those topics yet, but they're already like very close to us, and it will be quite interesting over the next years to see that development coming. Yeah, with that, I'm very, very happy to be here on the stage. There's my LinkedIn account. If you have any question or you want to get in touch with us, just drop me a message. I'm very happy about that. And to this point, we do a lot of, also, I mean, you can imagine with this technology, we often have like management or CEO people or from HR departments just coming to our studio. We do a quick capture. Afterwards, they have themselves as 3D representations, and then people in the company or for advertisement, you can just scan a QR code, and then you see the person on your smartphone in 3D standing in front of you, and they're doing the presentation. So all those digital, every time basically where you want to have a digital representation of a human, there's basically only the way of doing motion capture, which is expensive, or really doing volumetric video. And if you want to have a real representation, volumetric video is actually the only way to go for it, to have a real representation which looks natural and is not extremely expensive. So thank you very much for your attention, and hopefully this is a bit like a different style a bit, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sven Blidung, for your fascinating presentation. Now I would like to invite Mr. Ali Yazıcı, IT Manager of Kuwait Turk, to share their practice about innovating financial services with upgraded data infrastructure.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ali, and I am the IT manager at Kuwait Turk Participation Bank. And in our dedicated team, we are managing data center operations, server storage solutions, backup strategies, and virtualization environments. Okay. Kuwait Turk holds a prominent position as the 10th largest institution in Turkey's banking sector, and it's the leader in participation banking sector. Our main shareholder is Kuwait Finance House, 62%, and we are another shareholders here. And we and Finance House in 6 countries: Turkey, Germany, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Malaysia. Our vision is to be most reliable participation banking, and mission is we are committing interest-free finance principles. And as you can see in these milestones, small steps lead to big success. And we opened new R&D centers at 2010, and then we opened another R&D centers, and we developed our core banking software. Its name is BOA, Banking on the Air, actually, and developed by Kuwait Turk as a local core banking software. And it's used in Turkey in several banks, and exported more than 60 banks in 20 countries. And this software is developed by Architect Now. It's our company, and it develops another products like AirAPI here, and Power Factor. AirAPI is using here in Germany, KT Bank, and Power Factor is using in banks in Turkey. This is our architecture. As you can see, we have all modules that needed by a bank: service process, service management, channel integration, resource management, all of them. And what is the storage challenge? As you know, every year we need capacity. Old devices expire, became end of life. They stop the firmware updates, and we have security vulnerabilities, and we need new devices, new technologies like NVMe, all-flash, and something like that. And when we make this purchase, we take out all our essentials. We ask for POC from all vendors. We write requirements and KPIs, all of them. Sorry. And we made about 4 vendors a POC, and only one vendor shows us all the requirements, all requested KPIs to us. That was a Huawei, and it's a best POC I have ever seen. And the other companies skipped some items, and so we made another meetings to demonstrate our requirements, and we lose time. So you know, the time is most important thing in our life, and Huawei is using time effectively here. This device has good performance, data reduction rates, good and reliable resilience, and cost-effective energy efficiency. Because as you can see, our old devices was 2 cabinets, and new device is only 6U. And this is hybrid model. This is all flash, so it spent less energy, and we gained the place actually. Okay, I want to tell you another story. At the first years of my career, I was a support engineer in a different storage brand for 3 years in a partner company. And what we have been taught is that this is the best storage in the world. But sometimes we were meeting with customers, they were asking about the high-end features. We were trying to explain that our mid-range level features are better. That was a very difficult times, and then I worked in other companies, another big companies. I gained new experiences. I take trainings, and I realized that these features are high-end features. They are better features for performance and accessibility. But even though when Huawei releases a new storage, it means high-end features we want. And more importantly, they can prove it us. And this POC is an example of that. And we recently bought an object storage. Installation works are continue. We want to use it with hypergeometry feature, so we can ensure that our important security data will be protected. I think it's a good feature. And in the roundtable I attended last Monday, I learned replacing an HDD disk with an SSD saved 153. Maybe this led to us consider a new strategy for companies. Then I thought that this is good for production that required high performance. We need SSD, right? But what about backup and archive? Then I learned a new phrase, new sentence in same meeting. Somebody says, strategy is based on price, is not a strategy. And thank you for listening. Have a nice day. Have a nice event.
Thank you, Mr. Ali Yazici, for giving us a glimpse of Kuveyt Turk's digital experience. Next, Mr. Stefan Schneider, storage leader of Abraxas Informatik AG, will share his experience about storage consolidation and rapid backup in a multi-data center.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stefan Schneider. I'm head of storage at Abraxas. This morning, we got so many information, so overwhelming information, and I'm glad to see that there are a few here which want to hear my speech. Okay, what I'm talking about. The next few minutes, you will hear about the 4DC solution from Huawei, what it is, how we did the implementation, and what is our finding about that. Now, Who is Abraxas? Abraxas is the leading service provider for public sector in Switzerland. We have more or less 1,000 people all over Switzerland. All over Switzerland means we are close to our customers. And who are our customers? Our customers are Swiss government, are the cantons, these are the regions of Switzerland, are communities, education, insurance companies, and also enterprises. Okay, what is our mission? We want to bring Switzerland into the digital age. We are working day for day for that. And how do we do that? First, we do consulting. We go to the customers and try to convince them that they have a problem. And if they are convinced that they have a problem, surprise, surprise, we tell them we have the solution for their problems. So we start infrastructure. They can have some platform as a service, software as a service, up to workplaces. Software as a service means that there are some business applications tailor-made for our clients. So we bundle them together. And if, for example, there is no application that fits the need, so we develop applications for our clients. But okay, that is not so easy because you see, Switzerland is not big. But still, it has 26 cantons and 26 ways of doing taxes, for example. So therefore, it is quite a challenge. Almost all solutions are tailor-made solutions. And now, what is the benefit if a customer comes to us? We are a Swiss company, and our clients, they want to have all their data in Switzerland. They want to have a stable environment. Stable? Yes, it is stable because we are owned by parts of the public sector. Therefore, there is no shareholder value, any unfriendly takeover. We are Swiss, we keep Swiss. And then we are years and years in the public sector's environment. We know our clients, we know the demands of our clients. Therefore, we can provide them with good solutions. Solutions that fit their needs. And in the end, we have an attractive and fair price model. You notice I did not say we are cheap, because you know nothing is cheap in Switzerland. Therefore, we have attractive prices. So, what is the goal of our application? I see here you see one application that was made for one canton. Imagine the starting of pandemic. You had hospitals and hospitals. Nobody knew how many free beds are all around. Doctors were calling the other hospital whether they have still some beds around, and nobody knew it. So within a few days, we did a dashboard for the decision makers that they knew that there are some beds left and where they had to put their patients because all hospitals were overloaded. So in the end, you can say our app saved lives. The other application is car inspection. Every now and then, you have to go to show your car and it has to be inspected. I remember when I had to do that, I could send all my data per mail to that inspection station, and I had to wait for my car to be inspected. There, the guy, he printed out all my data that I scanned in. He printed it out and had a form where with a pencil he wrote everything, where it was in the document he wrote everything by hand, handed that over to another lady, and she typed it in again. Okay. Now we developed an application where everything is digital. They had a tablet, they just can verify everything is good. And what is the benefit for the clients of Graubünden? They have more time. They can drive with their car to St. Moritz going skiing. The other thing is tax application. Nobody likes to pay taxes, obviously. But okay, for the Wallis, we did an application where the receipt can be captured by the phone, so you don't have to print out everything. What is the benefit for them? The citizens, they can go to their friends, drinking white wine, eating fondue and raclette. So, and doing service, this has some operational challenges. This is not an IDC slide, it's not a Gartner slide, that is my experience. We have clients, they expect that we are best protected by, from ransomware. They want to do, our clients, they want to do 7x24, their tax declarations. We have police, they want to have an availability 7x24, no downtime. Others, they want to have object storage. The amount of data is growing, it's growing, and they want to have performance. These challenges cannot be solved by traditional solutions. So I was talking to Huawei whether there is a solution. Okay. Then, for backup, we had, this is the solution for Huawei from that backup. On top, you see file share, VMs, databases. Then you see the first storage system. That is the online storage system. And the storage system on the back is the backup system. So what we are doing, or what you can do, you do some snapshots on the primary system. You transfer the snapshot to the other system. And because these are independent, this is really backup. So what do you have? You have different retention rules. So on the primary system, you have 5 weeks. Afterwards, we have 5 years. Then data replication. You have to bring your data synchronously to the other side. So once again, application and the 2 Dorado systems, and you have there active, and you go towards RTO, RPO 0. And it is important, one solution for NAS and SAN. So I asked them, couldn't we combine that? Yes, it is possible. And so we integrated that. You see our solution. We have 2 Dorado 8000 systems as primary storage with SAN and NAS. There we have no data loss, whatever happens that, with a Hypermetro. Then down, we have 2 Dorado 6000 systems, which are our backup systems. And one important thing, so we have the backups on both of the sides. And if you want to become a friend of the IP guys, provide this solution, because data just goes one time from east to west. The backups are local. Here you see, okay, data center 3 and D, we have it on one data set, obviously. So the Dorado 8000, 6000 is on one data center. So we have the ability to consolidate everything. NAS, SAN, we have quick restores because everything is on disk and is on snapshot. Okay, are we done? Almost. And I told you that the amount of data is going on all the time. Therefore, we want to integrate Ocean Protect to have a fraction of all data in the backup, because we want to have fair prices. Okay, we have a powerful system, and as somebody told, power is nothing without control. We use DME for controlling the entire system. DME is our umbrella system. So we don't have to log on into 20 systems to see what's the health status. We're just using that at the moment. But furthermore, you can provide storage with that. You can do everything. You can integrate Brocade switches, VMware, ES6i services. Everything can be provided there. So it is really a good solution. We have that, and we need that. So to come to an end, my experience with a 4DC solution, we have a strong and scalable solution. And the functions are really stable. We have to admit that. And we have good support from Huawei, being before the purchase, during the installation, and if something goes wrong, also we have a good thing. Are we done? No. As I told, S3, for example, we have to have the S3. Ransomware, I know there is a new ransomware function. We want to integrate that, because just backup is not enough. And, okay, the findings. With that solution, we have a good solution which is scalable and has a good price. And it helped us reducing or replacing a high available NetApp systems, which was really not at good price, the NetApp system. So we could integrate all data from NetApp into our system. And to be honest, isn't it a good feeling having a Ferrari in your garage, but having to pay the price of a Volkswagen? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stefan Schneider, for sharing your illuminating experience with us. Next, let's welcome Mr. Hugo Doucet, Sales Director of Huawei Belgium and Luxembourg Enterprise BG, to share the insights about building the last line of defense with a comprehensive ransomware protection storage solution.
Good morning everybody. My name is Hugo Doucet. I'm the sales manager for Huawei Enterprise in Belgium, and I am delighted to talk to you today about our anti-ransomware solution. You all know this is a very hot topic, and as a company, we have worked very, very hard to build something truly unique, and I'm delighted to share some more details about this with you. So if you look at data resilience, it is facing more and more challenges today. And so we're getting a lot of data resilience requests. The last decade, we were more focused on disaster recovery to ensure business continuity as a solution for natural disasters. And we also see that backup systems were built to deal with software and hardware failures. And even so, when data was deleted by mistake, we could use that. But today, with the increasing popularity of digital currencies like Bitcoin, we see a lot of malicious organizations that are exploiting ransomware and cyber attacks for cyber activities as one of the biggest challenges for data resilience. So, what we see is that with natural disasters, cyber attacks are not limited to specific regions, and they can occur globally at any time, and they can spread very easily. Cybersecurity Ventures predicts that in 2023, ransomware attacks will target businesses every 11 seconds, while in 2016, that number was 40 seconds. So we see the attack frequency has quadrupled in less than 7 years. We can conclude that at this very moment, one organization is under attack by ransomware, and what we see is that the costs associated with ransomware are enormous. And it's not just about the ransom, it's also about the brand reputation, and it's about the cost of the service interruption. The total collateral damage can be as much as 23 times the value of the actual ransom payment. If we look at X-Force research, they say that manufacturing, finance, and insurance in Europe and Asia are the most ransomware-attacked industries and regions in 2022. For the manufacturing industry, time is profit and credit, and businesses' downtime may cost more than the loss of the ransom. Higher willingness than pay ransom, so there's a higher willingness to pay ransom amounts to criminals. For the finance and the insurance industry, their data is directly related to money, so it has even more value. And even in this industry, so we know that this industry has a very mature IT infrastructure, still it is a very interesting target for criminals. Ransomware has many disguises and variants, and it can hide in systems for a very, very long time. And attackers are very hard to stop. So, how do we defend against ransomware? As Mr. Bobchan mentioned today, ransomware protection demands a multiple-layer comprehensive protection. Network functions should be designed to prevent, block, scan, and eliminate ransomware. However, storage, as a final stop of data, needs to safeguard data by making it immutable and recoverable. When you consider storage services in a traditional backup system or a disaster recovery solution, is that then good enough to defend against ransomware? As backup systems, it is difficult to restore data when metadata of the backup data is encrypted. So immutable functionalities are a must for a backup system to defend against ransomware. For production storage, it is very critical to have key capabilities. We believe there are 4 critical storage capabilities that are needed and that need to be built. In the production zone, customers should deploy production storage and backup storage. And then there is an isolation zone which is built separately, and that should include detection and data analysis services to complement, and that needs to be complemented with secure snapshots. In the isolation zone, customers should deploy a second copy of their production data. And this zone should be completely decoupled from the production zone and should include also a form of secure snapshot. If we look at detection and analysis, which determines whether the storage system is able to quickly intercept and detect ransomware attacks and initiate proactive protection to ensure the retained data copies are clean and not infected by ransomware. The detection and analysis could be deployed on production storage, backup storage, and even the isolated storage. And we recommend it also then to deploy it both on production and backup storage. In addition, we have an alternative deployment mode by means of an external security appliance, and this prevents re-architecture of your production environment, and it also avoids using resources on the physical storage. When we focus on ransomware identification, we believe that accurate identification is crucial for quick detect and will help generate early warnings. Traditional network layers deploy firewalls and intrusion detection. On the host layer, we will deploy antivirus solutions. So what difference could storage do to identify ransomware? Storage is the final destination of your data. It allows near real-time analysis of I/O behavior. So what we do is we exploit capacity changes, deduplication trends, file entropy modifications by means of machine learning, and as such, any data corruption activity is quickly detected. The second is the secure snapshot, which adds a protection period on the basis of a traditional snapshot. During the preset protection period, secure snapshots cannot be modified or deleted. And this feature provides LUN-level or file system-level protection, ransomware protection. And then we add to that our redirect on write file system, our point-in-time recovery technology, so we can very quickly roll back data sets from a recent snapshot. Then let's talk about backup storage. Ransomware infiltrates the backup system and deletes backup data before encrypting production storage. And so we're using that concept to demand ransom. And without our data backup available, users have to pay ransom to get their data back. Therefore, detection, analysis, secure snapshot, and WARM of backup data is particularly important in defense against ransomware attacks. Secondly, for backup storage, storage efficiency is very important because it allows the backup storage to keep many secure copies of the same data set. Huawei has developed multiple patented deduplication and compression algorithms to improve data reduction, ratios, and actually by doing that, we're actually lowering the TCO. The fourth key is the isolation zone, and where we're going to use air-gap replication technologies. The air-gap replication policy is activated during the non-replicated period. Links are disconnected by means of an isolated environment to protect data from ransomware. This means during the non-replicated period, network sniffers cannot scan any open ports, making the isolation zone as sound as any other physical media like tapes. Air-gap replication ensures data copies are offline most of the time, reducing the possibility of attack. Today, we have two ways of actually implementing these isolation zones. The first one is a physical isolation, so a data replication link is disabled by decoupling the physical link, and the other one is by logical isolation, where data replication link is blocked by protocols. Based on our understanding and insights, Huawei ransomware protection storage solution offers first a 6-layer comprehensive protection with industry's first network storage collaboration for ransomware protection technologies. This 6-layer protection includes network anti-intrusion, network anti-proliferation, detection, analysis, secure snapshots, backup recovery, and air-gap protection. So that's a lot of technologies. Yeah? And then secondly, we have a very high accurate detection, 90.9%. It's based on machine learning, and we deliver accurate anti-ransomware identification by our Ocean Cyber Data Security Appliance, which is available on display at our booth. Third, we build an isolation zone, which is more effective and secure to keep data invisible to ransomware. Fourth, rapid recovery. And this is attributed to our local secure snapshot, which recovers data in seconds. And we can add to that our Ocean Protect system, which has a bandwidth of up to 172 terabytes per hour. So that's an enormous speed that we can use to recover data back from the backup system. And when you have an attack, I think restore time is key, and that's a very, very high bandwidth that we can deliver on this platform. So my conclusion is, our ransomware protection storage solution has successfully protected a wide range of industries, and you're very welcome to have further conversations about this technology with us. I would like to thank you very much for listening to this topic, and looking forward to have some offline conversations with you on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hugo Doucet, for your great speech. Next, we'll have Mr. Chen Zhua, who is the Chief Technical Research Expert of Huawei Data Storage, to share valuable thoughts about innovations towards next-generation storage architecture.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chen Zhuo, the Chief Technical Researcher of Huawei Storage from the Zurich Research Center. Today, it is my great honor to stand here and share with you the latest innovation of the next generation of storage system from the technical perspective. Over the past 30 years, the development of the data application has driven the continued growth and innovation in the data storage industry. From database, file system, virtualization, up to big data, distributed database, AI, and edge. The unstructured data has become the main stage of the explosive data growth, and the data value is increasingly important to customers. And the requirement of data resilience has also evolved from preventing nature cost, physical, device-level failure, to the defending against the human cost, data failure, such as ransomware attack. So we can see the new applications, new data, and new resilience will be the driving force for continuous innovation in data storage technology. As we know, the capacity, the performance, and the reliability are always the three most critical properties of the storage system. In response to the rapid digital transformation of the enterprise, storage innovation will expand beyond the basic dimensions of capacity, performance, and reliability, integrating the energy efficiency, the resilience, and multi-cloud ecosystem. We propose the 6 technology directions for innovations, and I will introduce these technologies. Okay, the first one is an evolution of advanced storage medium, which is always a core component of storage system. In the future, the hybrid workload of new applications, SSD will be the most dominant storage medium due to the advantage of the performance, ease of management, and energy efficiency. And more data need to be analyzed and processed online in real time. So how to leverage the value of the data better? The storage medium for the hot data will evolve into memory semantic. Yes, the memory semantic medium, not only the memory, okay? The memory semantic interface is friendly for the in-storage data processing. And I think the tiered memory architecture makes it possible for the large scale, the large capacity memory. On the other hand, the huge number of the unstructured data generated by all the world need to be long-term, reliably, and economically stored. We think the Blu-ray is one of the available evolution for the cold data. So in summary, the memory semantic medium for the hot data, and all flash for the warm, and the Blu-ray for the cold data. So the next one is the innovation in the architecture level. The modern applications like AI and big data and so on are typically computing intensive and data intensive, which has higher requirement on performance and energy efficiency. The CPU-centric architecture will gradually become the bottleneck for the performance and energy efficiency. So in the future, the infrastructure architecture will evolve into data-centric and composable. Macroscopically, the pooling of computing, the pooling of the computing units, the memory, the storage will significantly increase the resource utilization efficiency. Increase the resource utilization efficiency, and the shared memory pool will eliminate the cost of the useless data movement. And the high throughput, low latency memory semantic networks, just like the CXL, makes the memory-centric, composable architecture possible. And microscopically, the technologies such as in networking computing, the DPU, the processing in memory, and the computational SSD are used to converge the capability of computing, networking, and storage, and it to effectively improve the data processing efficiency, leveraging the most suitable heterogeneous computational components rather than a general purpose CPU. And in the new architecture, I think the traditional I/O-based data stack will be redefined and simplified. And the next generation storage system with the new data paradigm will provide a more friendly service, will provide a more friendly and directly service to applications by the memory semantic data processing interface. And the next one is something about innovation about the data service. And the next generation storage system is required to support cross data center and cross cloud data tiering, and the global data management and the container storage. To eliminate the data silos by the global data insight, by the global data view, and the global data scheduling, the storage system can achieve the data collaboration across multi-centers. Moreover, the storage system will act as an accelerating engine to emerging applications by providing the application-oriented storage interface and service, which is supporting the new data format, the new data structure, the new data paradigm, and in storage data processing operations and functions. For example, the accelerating engine for big data will provide the table semantic data format and operations, and the acceleration engine for AI will provide the feature store to support the large embedding tables and approximate search in inference. So I think we will have a lot of the same interest with Professor Wolfgang. Therefore, the next generation storage system will evolve from providing the traditional storage service into providing data service that is very important, horizontally to support the global multi-cloud data collaboration, and vertically to support the data processing acceleration for emerging applications. Okay, let's move on to the innovation on data resilience. Nowadays, as becoming the core property of the modern enterprise, the data itself is facing threat from not only nature cost, the hardware failure like earthquakes, and also human cost attack like a ransomware attack. Therefore, I think it would be much necessary to build a comprehensive data resilience mechanism around the whole life cycle of data. The next generation storage will provide the capability of native data resilience at all the stages of data life cycle, from the data generation, the data transferring, the data storage, to the data usage, the provisioning, sharing, and the destruction. There are a lot of innovative technologies in this direction. For example, the QKG, the algorithm of the quantum key distribution for the anti-quantum attack in the data transferring. And another technology is about innovative computational SSD, integrated the native data resilience, the native anti-tampering, leveraging the features of the SSD's appending right. And another interesting topic is autonomous storage. As we know, the AI for storage is a very active technical directions in the current storage innovation. And with reference to autonomous cars, we also proposed the concept and the stage definition of autonomous storage in the next generation. In this figure, we grade the degree of automation of storage system in management and the device, and in management and device dimensions from level 1 to level 5. Intelligent storage management, including the operations, the maintenance, and the system optimization. Its intelligence degree, I think, represents the degree of the easy to management of a storage system. And the intelligent storage device, we focus on the performance and the reliability dimension, which represents the capability of storage system, how to self-learning and self-tuning for the high performance and self-healing for the high reliability. The current storage system is generally standing between level 2 and level 3. That is partial autonomous. And we hope the next generation storage system can achieve the level 3 and evolve into level 4. To reach the level 3, we need breakthrough series of technologies. For example, in the management dimension, we have to break through the automatic failure prediction and the root cause location. For example, using the algorithm of knowledge graph. And in the device dimension, for example, for the on-tuning, the self-tuning performance, the storage system need to build a capability to the I/O pattern self-learning and the modeling from the internal and external information of the storage system, and then self-tuning the performance by adaptive configuring the key parameters in the storage system. For example, the algorithm and strategy of the cache prediction, the cache allocation. And next one, with the increasing popularity of emerging applications such as AI, big data, and supercomputing, the power consumption of data centers has increased significantly and is graduated, becoming a core challenge for the enterprise. As an important infrastructure of the data center, the green and the low carbon of storage is an also important technology point to be considered for the next generation. So storage need to be designed considering from the production, from the hardware level, the software and system level, and the algorithm. In the system architecture level, the heterogeneous computational components, including DPU, including the computational SSD, and the other dedicated accelerators, will be broadly used, deployed in the system, instead of the general purpose of CPU, significantly to improve the energy efficiency. So that means let the suitable guide to finish the suitable jobs. In addition, the algorithm of data reduction is also important. For example, the cross-data center global data duplication helps the storage system not only reduce the data capacity stored in the median, and also reduce the data transferred in the network between data centers. So that is also a great benefit for the networking. After introducing the technological innovations of the next generations, I want to say the innovation is always not easy. The innovation processing requires the close cooperation of industry and academia. From the theoretical breakthroughs, technical inventions, technical prototypings, and the technical engineering. So in the future, Huawei is actively working on different innovation models, cooperating with universities and research institutions to jointly solve the storage challenges, promote the storage industry innovation and development, and achieve the win-win cooperation. So next, let's watch a video about the Huawei Olympus Mons Award, please.
The Olympus Mons, located on planet Mars, stands at 21,000 meters, making it the highest mountain in the solar system. The Olympus Mons Awards encourage us to solve storage challenges to build data infrastructure faster and better. We hope that researchers around the world will join us in finding the answers to these challenges.
I'm very honored to win the Olympus Mons Award for 2022. This award is not just a recognition of what has been done, but hopefully it will enable a lot of other things that will be very useful for the wide industry. So I believe going into the future, computing systems will evolve in a way that incorporates a lot more computation and memory together, and more analog computational capabilities and memory as well.
The Olympus Mons Award is focused on storage performance. But as we see, it is also now critical to the future of computing performance.
Okay, I think you have learned a lot about the Olympic Mons Award after watching this video. So please allow me to take some additional information. The Olympic Mons Award is open to universities and scientific research institutions around the world. It set up 2 challenges, with each one with a breakthrough prize of 1 million RMB. So in the previous video, we are glad to see the Professor Onumutlu from the ETH Zurich has won the award, the big award of the 2022. And next, I'd like to take today's opportunities to introduce the challenges for Olympus Mons Award 2023. So the 2023, the Olympus Mons Award also has 2 challenges, 2 big challenges. The first one is the storage with ultimate per bit cost efficiency with 2 directions: innovative data-centric architecture, existing and new media innovation, how to improve the per bit cost efficiency on the architecture level and the media level. And the second challenge is data resilience and service oriented toward multi-cloud environments. It's also including the 2 directions: efficient data storage and management for new applications, and data resilience and proactive protection. So we sincerely invite all the university and the scientific research institutions around the world to join to solving the technical problems and unleashing the data value and contributing to digital civilization. Okay, that's all for my presentation. Great thanks for your listening. And before I finish my topic, please allow me to share one more thing. The global data compression competition, GDCC for short, co-hosted by the Autonomous University of Barcelona and Huawei. So now let's warmly welcome the Professor Juan Serra Sagrista from the Autonomous University of Barcelona to introduce the GDCC. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you very much. Nice talk. So, good morning, everybody. It is my pleasure to be here. It has been a very interesting session, but it has also been long. So I guess that we are all a little bit tired, but please stand with me. I promise that I will deliver this presentation in less than 5 minutes. And after that, we go for lunch. So my name is Joan Serra Sagrista. I come from Autonomous University of Barcelona. I'm sorry, apologies. But I'm the head of the department, but you're not here to listen to who I am or what I do. I'm pleased to introduce you to the third edition of the Global Data Compression Competition. The first two editions were already held in 2020 and 2021. The aim of this competition is to attract the interest of everybody that is interested in encoding better, either from a compression ratio point of view or from a coding time and decoding time perspective. And you are lucky, because the competition is already open. It started early in May. It will remain open until the last days of September, and then the prizes will be awarded in October in a ceremony that will take place quite likely in Barcelona. The competition is funded by Huawei, so thank you very much, Huawei. And we're helping them organize the competition. Let me give you some information about the different tasks that you could participate in. So we have listened to several presentations this morning, Mr. Bob Shen or Professor Wolfgang Lehner, and quite recently, Hugo Dosset also mentioned the word compression. So we need compression in our lives. And we have 8 different tasks. Anybody can participate in all different 8 tasks. And for each task, we measure either only the compression ratio or compression ratio and also coding and decoding time. And let me briefly explain you 1 or 2 of these tasks. For instance, for the first task. Quite often, your children will come up and ask you, hey, Dad, hey, Mom, would you give me your phone so that I can take a picture? And then they take pictures, and then you suddenly realize that you do no longer have any space left on your device. Usually, your mobile phone captures pictures with JPEG standard, which is a 30 years old standard, but it is still the most common standard used in practice today. This first task asks you to provide a solution to, without loss, compress the JPEG file so that it can save a space in your mobile phone. This is only an example, no? Large companies, social network companies, store hundreds, thousands, petabytes of data of JPEG. So if they had an approach to compress this data more efficiently, they would save time and also money. As for the second task, you have probably not heard about this LPAQ8 standard. Among us, we are lucky. We have Alexander Ratusniak, who is one of the fathers of this standard. Notice here that what we care here is achieving a much larger compression ratio. For the first task, the compression ratio was only 1.3. This is not a lot. But for this second task, we are aiming at a compression ratio that is 7.75. This is quite large. This is very impressive. So I would like to invite all of you to participate in the contest. We have also tasks for students. So if you know somebody who is working at the academia or you have relationships with universities, ask the students to participate also in this contest. For them, the tasks are not as difficult as for the challenge tasks. And finally, we have also some professional tasks. And all of them are looking for the same thing, but for different data sets. We have 4 different data sets, qualitative, quantitative, and another one which is a compendium of JPEG compressed images. All these 4 last tasks have different also categories, no? And in these categories, we care either for the compression ratio, as I mentioned, or the coding and decoding time. And in these categories, we see that for the ultra-rapid category, we are aiming at solutions that run in less than 10 seconds. Then for the balance for the rapid category in 40 seconds, and for the balance in 400 seconds. So this will be my last slide. Before we go to lunch, we would like to ask for your help. Please help us promote the contest and distribute it. And of course, if you want to participate, you are very welcome. Thank you very much for your attention, and see you later. Thank you.
Big applause to Mr. Chenjua and Mr. Joan Serra Sagrista for bringing us enlightenments. The Day 2 keynote of Huawei Innovative Data Infrastructure Forum 2023 is now coming to an end. We hope all of you have enjoyed the 2-day speeches, and we hope it has deepened our insights about the industry and invoked the thoughts of keeping on innovating for a better, green, and intelligent world. New apps, new data, new resilience. Thank you all for your participation. I would like to remind you to continue your experience in the afternoon. The lunch buffet is in the room Tegernsee. Please come back at 2 p.m. to join the technical deep dive session in the afternoon. Your feedback is very important to us.